All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time, for giving us a little bit of time on your Wednesday, the day before St. Patrick's Day. So Ari and I will be putting on a presentation about mindfulness and meditation. I'm going to start off the presentation, so allow me to share my screen. And start at the beginning. Okay. All right, so hopefully everyone can see everything. Okay, so I want to preface this meeting with in my advertisement for it, I said that mindfulness and meditation can treat heart disease. And really what I mean by that is that it is linked to lower heart rate and blood pressure, which can lower your risk of heart disease. So while it is not a cure-all treatment for heart disease, it does alleviate some of the symptoms of heart disease. So I just wanted to preface the meeting by stating that to begin with. Okay, so I have a link here. I don't have a chat, otherwise I would put it in here, but it's very simple. I turned it into a tiny URL. So it's tinyurl.com/RICVWW, and that's for winter workshop. So this will take you to a document about some of the things that I'm going to go over, but it is way more complete because I only have about 30 minutes for my presentation. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to talk about grounding, and grounding is a term used to describe any techniques which are used to bring a person back in contact with the present moment. So there are different forms of sensory stimulation, like smells or textures of things, that are commonly used, and grounding statements are also helpful. So some things that I want you to think about, two things that I want you to think about during my presentation. The first thing is, what are some habits that you do that increase the level of stress or anxiety in your life? If you want, you can grab a piece of paper and, make a table, and we have a plus and minus. Plus for what adds stress or anxiety, and the minus for the next part. What habits do you do that decrease the level of stress or anxiety in your life? So then what you can do is kind of gauge, okay, well, when I do this type of behavior, it adds stress to my life. But then after I'm stressed, if I engage in this behavior, it takes away stress. So that kind of helps you figure out where stress is coming from and what is helping you alleviate some of that stress. Okay, so what is grounding? Grounding is a set of simple strategies to detach from emotional pain. For example, drug cravings, self-harm impulses, anger, sadness. So distraction works by focusing outward on the external world rather than inward towards yourself. You can also think of it as distraction, centering, your safe place, looking outward, or healthy detachment. So you might be asking, well, why should I use grounding? And grounding helps when you are overwhelmed with emotional pain, or if you need a way to detach so that you can gain control over your feelings and stay safe. As long as you are grounding, you cannot possibly use substances or hurt yourself. So grounding anchors you to the present and to reality. Many people with PTSD, which is a disorder that people have, maybe if they are veterans and they've served in the military, or if they were involved in some, maybe a car accident, or if they were attacked in some way, and that they're either feeling too much, so maybe they're feeling overwhelming emotions and memories of that instance happening, or too little. So maybe they're numbing or they have disassociated. So it's like they have forgotten that it even happened. So in grounding, you attain balance between the two. So you're conscious of reality and you're also able to tolerate it. And on this slide, I have a tree and some clouds and the sunlight, and it's kind of giving you, it says the guidelines for grounding. Got clouds and stuff too. And then this next slide, again, it still has like ground and maybe some water, a planet, a sun, a cloud, and it says ways to ground. And so, oopsie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip that. There are a few different types of grounding. So before we're going to get into how you ground, let's talk about the best tool to use. So we have 3 types of grounding. We have physical grounding, mental grounding, and we have soothing grounding. And now I'm going to go over what each of those types are. So the first one is grounding can be done anytime, any place, anywhere, and no one has to know. You want to use grounding when you are faced with a trigger, having a flashback, disassociating, having a substance craving, or when your emotional pain goes above 6 on a 0 to 10 scale. So grounding puts healthy distance between you and these negative feelings. So you want to keep your eyes open, scan the room, and turn the light on to stay in touch with the present. Okay, I'm going to go to this next slide. Describing your environment in detail by using all your senses. If you are using your eyes, you could say the walls are white. You know, that man is wearing a pink shirt. He has brown shoes, or whatever it is. Maybe you don't want to use your eyes or the senses of your eyes. You could choose, this smells like onions. I hear these sounds, and you can focus using other senses. If you would rather touch something, this feels very smooth, and you are focusing on that. You could also say a safety statement like, my name is, insert your name here. I am safe right now. I am in the present, not the past. I am located in blank. The date is blank. So here would be my safety statement. My name is Jordan. I am safe right now. I am in the present, not the past. I am located in my office, and the date is, what's the date today? March 16th, 2022. It's Groundhog Day for me, right? So you get lost in it. Another way that you could, another way of grounding is read something, saying each word to yourself, or you could read each letter backwards so that you focus on the letters and not in the meaning of words. So even my name right here, Jordan, I'm focusing on the last part of my first name, N-A-D-R-O-J. And I mean, that was a quick little 5 seconds of me spelling my own first name backwards, but maybe that would help me if I was in some emotional pain or I needed to kind of detach myself from what I was experiencing in the moment. Another example is use humor. Think of something funny to, it says jolt, but please forgive me. It's supposed to be jot yourself. Oh, or no, it is jolt yourself out of your mood. So think of something funny to like really just not to kind of just shake you out of that funk that you're in. Okay, the next thing that we're going to go over is physical grounding. So some different techniques that you can use is to run cool or warm water over your hands. You can also grab tightly onto your chair as hard as you can. So it's like if you have arms on your chair and you were sitting there, no one has to know, but I'm sitting here grabbing my wheelchair arms and squeezing the heck out of them. So, but you don't know that because maybe it just looks like I'm sitting here relaxed or talking to you. So there, it doesn't have to be that other people know what you're doing. You can touch various objects around you, a pen, keys, your clothing, the table, walls. You could even, it's not weird if you're touching your own shirt and feeling the fabric of it and maybe taking yourself away from the moment that you're in.
What about tickling yourself?
Yeah, tickling yourself. I know a lot of people that tickle their arms. They just kind of run their fingertips over their arms, and that kind of takes them away from the moment that they're in. If they're having any type of pain or they're like thinking negative thoughts and they want to take themselves away, absolutely.
Or you can whisper yourself, "It's the weekend."
You could. Right. Okay. So this might also be what Shruti, what you were asking. So soothing grounding, you could say kind statements as if you were talking to a small child. So here's one example. You are a good person going through a hard time. You'll get through this. That is something very helpful. We are sometimes our worst critics, picking on ourselves for a mistake that we made. We may be like, oh, I made a mistake. Sarah's my boss. She probably hates me now. And I'm sitting here thinking that I'm the worst employee ever. And then here I go meet with Sarah the next day and she probably isn't even thinking about that. And I was holding on to it, maybe losing sleep at night, thinking I'm a bad person. In reality, that wasn't even on Sarah's radar. You could also think of your favorites. Think of your favorite color, your favorite animal, your favorite season, your favorite time of the day, or your favorite TV show, and just really immerse yourself in that thought of what you like about it, what's enjoyable about it, and go there in your mind. If you're thinking about your favorite summer or your favorite season, and you're saying, oh, it's summer. Well, we're not quite there yet at summertime. It's still very much spring here in Fresno. And maybe you like it when it's like super hot, over 100 degrees, so you get to go swimming. Think about what your body feels like when you're out in that hot sun, when it's almost like hard to breathe because it's so hot outside. And maybe you like that, but think about that. And maybe that thought of thinking of it will take you away from your emotional pain.
I'm glad it's springtime. I had such a hard winter time.
You have a hard winter time? Okay, so.
Yeah, just feeling tired than normal in the winter time.
Absolutely. So Shruti doesn't want to think about winter.
And winter time, I'm usually irritated.
Okay. All right, so you could be asking yourself, what if grounding doesn't work for you? So really the biggest thing that you could do to help yourself is practice as often as possible, even when you don't need it, so that you'll know it by heart. It's almost muscle memory at that point where it's just, you're
yes, I agree with the first one. Like, even though you don't need it, you need to practice it so that way you won't be pressured when you need to, like, you know, doing things properly. Like for me, I hate exams, but I only do it properly to get a good grade.
Okay.
And then I practice it even though it's not tested that way. because everything mixes.
Right. Okay, so Shruti, let me get through my part of the presentation, and I do have a slide for questions, and if you have any more comments, we'll definitely go through it, but I just want to make sure that I'm giving Aubrey her time as well. Okay, so another thing you could do if grounding doesn't work is practice faster. So you can speed up the pace that helps you get focused on the outside world quickly. So just rushing through it, almost rushing through that practice and getting it. Another thing that you could try to do if grounding doesn't work is try grounding for a long time, 20 to 30 minutes, and repeat, repeat, repeat. So don't get tired of what you're doing, just keep at it. And then one more tip I have here, and there's more on that tiny URL document that you have access to, is try to notice whether you do better with physical or mental grounding, or maybe the soothing grounding is what you feel the best after doing. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of practice, and I have a let's practice, and there is a picture here, a very nice lake or pond with very pretty purple flowers, and you see some green foliage in the background, but it's blurry. And there are 5 things that are listed here that would help you practice grounding. So we're going to go over the 5 things. The first thing is you're going to choose 5 things you can see. So you're going to look around the room and choose 5 things you can see. 4 things you can feel. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. And 1 thing you can taste. And let's say, for example, you are a person with a disability and you don't have access to one of these. Let's say you just recently got over COVID and you've lost your sense of smell. Let's then take that over to some things that you want to maybe touch some things or see some things. How can you use your other senses to take over and add to that as well? So don't think that just because you don't have access to that you can't do this. So this technique gets you to use all 5 senses and helps you get back to the present. It starts with you sitting comfortably, closing your eyes and taking a couple of deep breaths in through your nose, counting to 3, out through your mouth, counting to 3. Now you're going to open your eyes and you're going to look around you. You're going to name some things. So what are 5 things that you can see? You can look within your room or even outside if you have a window and there are things outside as well. 4 things you can feel. So maybe it's like the silkiness of your skin or the texture of the material on your chair. What does your hair feel like? What is in front of you that you can touch? Is there a table? Like, these are all things that we can look at. 3 things you can hear. Is there traffic noise or birds outside? When you are quiet and actually listening to things in your room, are they making more noise? Or
Bye. I'm going to come back later.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I'm sorry guys, hang on. We're looking at the things that are making noise in your room. Like they're constantly making a noise. Maybe you don't hear that because you're talking or you're listening to music or doing something else. If you're making no noise and there's no one talking, can you hear your computer running? Are there other things that are making noise? Do you hear your refrigerator, or did the microwave just go off and you heard the beeping? Other things like that that you could hear 2 things that you can smell. Hopefully nothing awful, but if you are smelling something awful, well then, hey, at least your olfactory is still working, right? And then 1 thing that you can taste. It might be a good idea to keep a piece of chocolate handy in case you're doing this grounding exercise. So you can always leave it in your chair for this one. And then when you taste it, whatever it is that you have chosen, you take a small bite, let it swill around your mouth for a couple of seconds, really savoring the flavor. And then you take a deep breath to end it. So now we're at the any questions slide. So does anyone have any questions for me? Okay. Hearing none. So we're going to take a break right now. We're going to play a meditation video, but please feel free to step away from your laptop or computer or phone and maybe take a stretch break, or you can listen to the meditation video, whichever you prefer. Oh, I might need to stop sharing and share my video again to turn on my audio. Hang on.
Welcome. I'm very happy to share you some meditation instructions. Okay, now first it's very simple. Please keep your spine straight. Just straight, but don't worry too much about perfect. I have to stay there, perfect. Just keep straight. And please close your eyes. Just close your eyes like you're sleeping. You don't have to close too tightly or any special way. And then relax your muscles in your body. Relax muscles in your head, forehead, face, ear, cheeks, throat, upper body, arms and hands, lower body, and the legs and feet. Just totally relaxed, yet spine straight. And little bit bend your neck forward. Little bit. It's almost like the weight of your head rests on your neck. You can effortlessly rest each part of body on the one below. And this way, you feel like resting, but there's some strength. So you can find balance. All the part of your body is resting. One top of the others. But at the same time, there's kind of a strength within you. Your spine straight. Sometimes you feel like a little bit gravity. Feel a little bit like gravity. And just feel sometimes some sensations. Just let it be. Whatever feeling in your body. Just aware and let it be. When I was young, my father used to tell me that let your body on the cushion and let your mind in the body. This way. Join body and mind together. Your mind come to the body, just aware of your body and aware of any sensation, feelings in your body. Pleasant feeling, joy, bliss, or unpleasant feeling, tight, pain, or neutral feeling, maybe tingling or no feeling. So any type of feeling, just aware and let it be. Okay, for few seconds, just aware. With relax. Okay. Now you can expand your awareness into out of your body. Surround of you. Maybe there's some sound or any smell or any sensation, like your room temperature, little bit hot, bit cold, any noise, people are chatting, or car, train, or aeroplanes moving around, or your neighbors making noise, anything, just aware, just know, just recognize there is sound, and your awareness become more open and more vast. Stay there and aware of any phenomena for a few seconds. Now you can expand your awareness even more further beyond your immediate surrounding. Fill the space around you, above you, and aware of that space more further down. All the phenomena occur in the space, changing in the space, dissolve back into the space, like cloud. They come into space, remain in the space, they dissolve into the space. And now you can even more expand your awareness. Go beyond the clouds. Space which is boundless. Space which is open for all directions. Everywhere. Be there. Don't worry, you are not going to get lost. Stay there for a few seconds. Okay, now please slowly open your eyes and be present here. Just rest your mind also. Not only the body. How to rest your mind? For example, if you like to do physical exercise, you're jogging in the garden or park, or hiking to the hills or mountains, maybe for a few minutes or hours, let's say 1 hour. And after finish your jog, you may use nice seats or rock or grass field. Sit on the grass field or field, and with big sigh, just resting. You don't have to meditate. Just let your mind rest as it is, and the body also. Just rest for a few seconds. Maybe you feel like, oh, there's so many thoughts, so many emotions occur in my mind. What should I do with those emotions, those thoughts? Same as before, you're just aware. If there's thought and emotion, you're just aware of thought and emotions. What I call blah, 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 blah. Just look at the blah, 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 aware, and let it be. Same like you're aware of your body, aware of sound and sensations. Now same, just aware, thought and emotions. Let them come and let them go. But if you cannot aware of them, also fine. You are in non-conceptual state of mind. But not too long, for a few seconds. Again, you see thought and emotions, of form, sound, smell, anything. Just aware for a few seconds. Anything occur in your mind, in your body, in your perceptions, just aware and let it be. Okay, now you can apply this awareness, this awareness with any situation in your life, with any activities in daily life. Short time, many times, everywhere, anytime. 7 days for a week, 365 of the year. Then you can be your mind with joyful, peaceful experience, and you will develop your inner love, compassion, wisdom. Thank you.
All right, guys, so I'm going to stop sharing right now, but I guess I have some follow-up questions for you. Billy or Kenny or Sarah, if any of you want to answer, the ways to ground, if we're talking about mental grounding, physical grounding, or soothing grounding, which of those types of grounding do you think would work for you, and which of those types do you think maybe wouldn't do you that good?
Well, I think the first grounding will be 1 through 5 works for me, and I don't think the second or probably the second or one. I think 3 through 5 would work for me, but 1 and 2 won't work out.
Okay, so are you talking about within mental grounding or physical grounding?
The mental and with grounding.
Okay, so you feel like you could describe your environment pretty well, but you're saying that playing category game with yourself might not be something that would work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Kenny or Sarah? Don't have a lot of you guys here, so I have to pick on everyone. I'm sorry.
I'll jump in, Jordan. It's interesting because, I think that the physical, grounding is a little bit better for me. Like in mental grounding, I tend to like veer, like I can't keep myself focused as much. Yeah, so that's kind of that, and that's been like a big thing that I've been trying to work on. It's something to strive for, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's also something I struggle with, where it's clearing my mind. He talked about, he goes, okay, how do you clear your mind? Go for a jog, really work out heavily, and then sit on the grass, and your mind will be clear in that you just exercise. I don't know that that's necessarily true for my mind, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So that I have to look into maybe some of the other grounding techniques and how that would work for someone like me in my particular situation. So it's just really knowing ourselves and what works for us and what doesn't work. Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Billy. All right, so does anyone have any questions for me before I hand the reins on over to Aubrey? Look at that. I'm batting 100.
They're saving the questions for me. I can
Yeah.
feel it. They're just waiting.
They're just waiting for you. Okay,
Bring it
well,
on.
Aubrey, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jordan. All right, guys. Hello. I'm going to be talking about mindfulness. And as I get my presentation ready, I'm going to just ask, for those of you here, I know there's so many of you, what word jumps out to you when you hear the word mindfulness? It can be any word, like anything that you think it might be, that you think that it is, or maybe you know that it is. What jumps out at you? One word.
I would say awareness.
Awesome. Awesome, Jordan. Anyone else? All right. Well, on that note, it's not a big deal because we are going to talk all about mindfulness. So there will be lots of examples that you guys will get to know as I share my screen here and start my presentation up. So stay tuned. All right. I'm sharing my sound from the beginning because I have a tendency to forget that every time. And I have a short video coming up, very short clip, but so I have here on the screen mindfulness, and you have a picture of a female. She's sitting cross-legged, facing a body of water. It looks like a calm body of water. And she has her palms resting on her knees. And, you know, she's just in that really, you know, state that you can just maybe try to focus on not thinking about anything like we were just talking about. It's hard to do, right? You're trying to meditate. So we'll talk more about, you know, what that means, what mindfulness means, what does meditation mean, all of that coming up in the following slides. And there will be chances to interact. So I might be just asking general questions, just like I did there with, you know, what's a word that jumps out to you about this topic or that topic? So stay tuned for that. Okay, so on this next slide, you know, sometimes I like inspirational quotes. And so on this one, it has a background of a bunch of snowy, like tall pine trees. And it says, in a world full of doing, it's important to take a moment to just breathe, to just be. It doesn't say who the quote came from, but I felt like it was a good reminder because, you know, we're moving so fast, and we're moving even faster because, you know, of how technology makes everything almost instant. And I think it is important sometimes to take that moment because sometimes it can get too hectic, and it is really important to breathe, truly. And sometimes we have to even make reminders to tell ourselves to breathe, and that's okay too. We'll talk more about that as well. Okay, so this next slide, mindfulness, what is it? Okay, so I'm going to give you a sort of a brief definition about mindfulness, and it is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of who we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So you'll see too, the word that Jordan pointed out was awareness, and aware is in the definition. So she totally hit on that. But yeah, it's something that doesn't necessarily come easy to most of us. So it is something we have to practice and remind ourselves to slow down, to try to clear our minds. It's not something that everyone's a master of, certainly not me as well. So in the picture here, you have two stick figures. You have one who looks like more of an adult, a little taller, and one who looks like a small, like a girl stick figure. And the adult stick figure has a little thought bubble. And in that thought bubble, there's so many drawings and things going on in that mind. Versus the little girl, she looks like, you know, they're outside for a walk. She sees flowers, she sees the sun, but she doesn't see all these other thoughts that are going through her head. She's really just in the moment and in the present. So that's kind of a nice way to think of it. If your mind is full, like full of things, or are you being mindful where you're just in the moment? Okay, so why is mindfulness important? Why are we talking about it today? So there are studies that have shown that practicing mindfulness can reduce stress. It can enhance performance. It can help you gain insight and awareness through observing your own mind and increase attention to others' well-being. Okay, so Again, we're not trying to say it's going to be a cure-all for everybody, but if you can help, you know, do maybe even one of these bullet points in your life, that could be a positive thing for you, whether it's reducing stress, or maybe it's about thinking about other people's well-being rather than just your own, then that's a good thing. So just keep that in mind. There are several reasons why people do practice mindfulness, and different ways they achieve that as well. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, so the fun topic of stress. So stress can be very, very toxic on the body, and it can take a very harmful toll. There's, you know, many different ailments that can come about that stress can lead to. And I have listed just a few, but there are even more, unfortunately, than this list. I just pointed out some of the big ones. And you might have experienced some of these as well in your life. So in some cases, stress can lead to headaches, upset stomachs, elevated blood pressure, chest pain, problems sleeping, worsening arthritis, increasing depression, and increasing anxiety. So of course, if there's a healthy way that we can try to deal with, you know, issues of stress, it's probably worth checking out and seeing what works for you. Does anyone have any, you know, experiences with any of these harmful, you know, feelings of stress in their life?
Yeah, I definitely have problems sleeping when I get a little stressed out. If I make a mistake, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but for some reason, when I make a mistake, it's like the end of the world for me. And
Right.
I'll sometimes either have a hard time going to sleep, or I'll wake up like super early in the morning, just wrought with worry about the mistakes that I made.
Right. So
Yeah.
it takes a toll. What about you, Kenny?
Yeah, I tend to get more anxious and like especially like I tend to like kind of worry about like the days ahead, not like really like in the moment sometimes. And I noticed that kind of makes me a little more anxious and not really like able to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Great. Okay, great, Kenny. Thank you for participating too. I appreciate
you're
it. So yeah, that's a good example too, of how stress affects people differently, right? We're not all the same. And we just notice certain things that our body reacts, you know, a certain way. So it's important to kind of recognize those signs and, you know, also be open to maybe trying to see if we can make it better, you know, and exploring different ways we can do that, you know, such as maybe trying meditation or, you know, simply doing some deep breathing if we feel like our heart rate's going up and we're getting more anxious. Trying things out, I think, is important just to see what works for all of us because we're all so different. Not everything's going to work for the same people and the same ways of doing that. And that's okay. That's what makes us challenging. So anyways, we'll continue on here. Okay, so stress and its impact. On this screen, we have a man at the top. It's a cartoon drawn male. He's got short brown hair, and he has 3 different heads on a single body, and all his heads are turned different ways. Like he is just looking around. He's just totally, and you know, stressed out more or less. His hands are kind of up, like he doesn't know what to do. His palms are up, and he looks very worried. He's got glasses on, and his face looks concerned or worried. And on the title of his, right underneath his picture, it says consequences of a hectic life. So hectic meaning crazy, busy, you're not slowing down, stressed out, and how that can build up and cause more harm. So, going over some of the things we talked about, less sleep, like how Jordan talked about, she might be worried about something that happened earlier in the day and it affects her sleep that night. So maybe she doesn't get as good of a rest as normal. And going into how many millions of people, this graph says 50 to 70 million American adults suffer from sleep disorders. Of course, that's a rough estimate, but you could just take from that many people have different sleep disorders, unfortunately. And being stressed out doesn't help that necessarily, okay? You also have, increased stress, negative effectively, affecting people's home lives. That sometimes say like your work is stressful and you go home and it can negatively impact your family when you bring it home and if you're not dealing with it in a healthy way. So that's also a possibility as well. So it kind of just goes into different, areas like hectic lives can lead to more distractions. And then it gives a little quote too. It says 36% of teenagers state that distracted driving has caused them to have experienced near crashes. So, just being distracted, if your alerts on your phone are going off every 5 seconds and you're looking every single time that your phone's chirping or vibrating, that's going to be very distracting and very hectic. And so you might want to think about, maybe using a silent mode at times where you're not going to have the alerts going off. Just putting that, that time aside. So that way you're not being, forced to look at your phone every, minute or so of the day. So just keep that in mind as well, if that feels like that applies to you, because that does apply to a lot of people, I would say, in this day and age. Okay, so how can we deal with stress and practice being mindful? Some different ways we can try being mindful, just like when we did the guided meditation there at the break. If you guys were able to do that, I hope you were. Doing a seated, walking, standing meditation, kind of whatever works for you. Taking that moment to breathe. I felt so much more calm when we came back on, and I felt really thankful for that because I'm like, okay, I felt like my mind was clear. I could do my presentation. And like any anxiety that I might have felt, I felt like it really calmed me down a lot too. So just keep that in mind. If you felt like it helped you out, that might be another thing to practice is just look up those guided meditations on YouTube. They're great. Putting short pauses into everyday life, like deep breathing. So even if you can't, fully go into a 10-minute meditation, simply taking some deep breaths in and out. If you feel like you're getting anxious about something, it could be at school, it could be at home, it could be just thinking about something coming up in your life. Taking those moments to take some deep breaths. And it doesn't have to be obvious. Like there could be people in the room with you too, and they won't even necessarily notice. If you take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, in through your nose, out through your mouth, and do that about 3 or 4 times. It can help kind of bring you back down if you feel like, you can't handle something or the stress gets really intense. Some people merge meditation with other activities such as yoga or other types of workouts and sports. So if that happens to be you, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's basketball. There's ways like when you're stretching before you start working out or, playing a sport and stretching at the end. I find like those are the times where you can kind of bring your body back down because you were exercising and bringing it to using a lot of energy. So I feel like that's the time you can kind of calm down and bring yourself back down. So it's not always just yoga that you can do this. And so another little question I wanted to bring up is, in what way or ways do you already practice mindfulness? And maybe which ones would you like to try? So if anyone has any any that you've tried. So if it's meditation, if it's yoga, if it's one of those that you want to try more of too, this is where you can answer that as well.
Yeah, so I really feel like practicing being mindful in general, especially on my downtime, is something I just need to be better at all the time. But I would say that the ways in which I already practice it is definitely taking deep breaths, especially when it feels like a lot is, happening at one time, or I'm really overwhelmed, or I'm getting really angry and I don't want to respond off the cuff. So I mean, you can't tell that I'm taking a deep breath unless I'm like,
Right.
unless it's like verbal like that. But for the most part, I could take a deep breath and you not know that I was even stressed out.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Yes, it doesn't have to be obvious, right? Like we don't have to draw attention to ourselves or feel embarrassed about it. Like Jordan said, you can still take a deep breath without everyone knowing, as long as you breathe in your nose, out your mouth, you're not going, like Jordan said, like a big sigh, that's not what you have to do for a deep breath. So awesome example. Any others? We don't have any yoga masters out there. I'm just kidding. Right. So I will continue on. Okay. So mindfully using your five senses. So on this image, you have a woman who is sitting cross-legged, probably doing some meditation, seated meditation. She's got her palms on her knees. She's looking kind of right at the camera per se, but it's still kind of a cartoon drawing person. And underneath it, it says 5 mindfulness techniques you can start now. So using your 5 senses or using the senses that you have, right? So, being mindful is release the busy subconscious energy holding you back. What you attract in your life is due to the energy that vibrates from within you. So, listening to your surroundings without judgment. Pay attention to things such as loudness, pitch, and frequency. Gently observe your surroundings without judgment. Take your time and observe the details such as colors, textures, sharpness of edges. Taste is another one, right? So savor the texture and flavors of a bit of food. Just thinking about how the food feels in your mouth and how it tastes. Smell, being aware of the scents around you. Take in the air and breathe in. Smell without judgment or labels. And touch, notice the sensations on your fingertips. Take your time and observe how it feels, such as texture and vibration. So some of us might, usually go to one or more senses more than the others, and that's definitely okay. But, I think this image makes you think, okay, it might be easier to practice mindfulness than I thought, right? You could take a sip of orange juice in the morning and you could go, oh, wow. Just take in that flavor of the orange juice and feel, the energy that you get from that orange juice. And we'll be frank, there's some sugar in orange juice. So you're even getting some of the effects of the sugar after you woke up from a long night of sleep. So even just being mindful of that and pausing in the moment and not just chugging that orange juice and going out the door, taking that moment to take it in and to breathe and have that moment for yourself as well. Okay, so practices for daily life, simple mindfulness. When you wake up, start your day with a purpose. So when you wake up, you can sit on your bed or your chair in a relaxed posture, close your eyes and connect with sensations of your seated body. Take 3 breaths, breathe in your nose and out your mouth. Let your breath settle in its own rhythm as you follow it in and out. Notice the rise and fall of your chest and tummy as you breathe. Ask yourself, what is my intention for today? Revisit your intention through the day. Write it down to remember and remind yourself. And if you're wondering what the heck is an intention, we will address that now, because that's an important part about mindfulness. Okay, so going on intentions here, this next slide has a picture on the right. It is a road that is going out. It almost looks like desert terrain, so it's kind of dry. But at the road, right at the forefront of the photo, it says start in big white letters on the actual road itself. So it's like you're starting on some sort of journey, is what it makes me think. And the quote I have that I picked out was by Fabian Fredrickson, and it said, "When you have clarity of intention, the universe conspires with you to make it happen." Okay, so we still are wondering what really is this intention, okay? Different ideas when you're trying to think of something to tell yourself about your day. Today, I intend to, or these are things that I want to do in my day, is stay focused on my to-do list, be present in the moment, stick up for my own beliefs, listen to my intuition and let it guide me, enjoy my creativity, be intentional and organized with my work, open myself to new possibilities without shutting myself down, stay in my heart, not in my head, prioritize what matters most, and embrace change in all forms. So those are several ideas that you could take when you're making your intention, and maybe one jumps out at you more than the others. So that could be a good one to start with. For example, if it's be present in the moment, that's a good one. And you can write it down and try to remind yourself, if you feel like you're getting away from that as the day goes on, try to bring yourself back and be present in the moment. So it's always something we can work on, I feel like, as well. So intention or having a plan can help us stay on track, just like I was talking about. So you can ask yourself, what quality of mind do I want to strengthen and develop? What do I need to do to take better care of myself? Or how might I be more compassionate to others and myself? So an example of an intention could be, today I will be kind to myself and compassionate to others. And I could write that down because it could be easy to forget, what my intention of the day might be. And I might want to actually read it and come back to it as well. So at that point too, if you have, an example intention, feel free to share. I know it might be asking a lot of thought at the moment, but if you have an example, maybe of one that you want to try, please feel free to share. We don't have a Q&A, by the way, so you would just have to share audibly at this point.
Well, I can share if while everyone else is maybe thinking.
Awesome.
I am going to school for my master's degree, and I have found that if I have like a few of the friends within the class that I'm taking, and I send them a text message, this is what I'm gonna get done this week. I plan on writing a page a day, a night, until I get to my 5 pages on Friday, or I plan on doing a page a week until this final is due, or whatever it is, however I have it kind of mapped out for myself. I let them know. And then that's also, really, they're not gonna like text me and remind me to do something, but it makes myself hold myself accountable, because it's, if I texted Aubrey and I said, hey, Aubrey, on Friday, I'm going to get this done, and I didn't get it done. And even if it's not a problem for Aubrey, she didn't require me to get that done, I still am holding myself accountable, because I told Aubrey that that's what I wanted to get done. So I usually get it done even before my target date when I do it like that.
Awesome. Yes, that's an amazing way to use intention to keep yourself organized and accountable. Like you said, to yourself and to others, right? So that's really awesome. That is awesome, awesome. Any others before I move on? No worries, guys. I will go on. And oh, we got meditation. So meditation, you know, we got to try some out. Hopefully at the break, you guys were able to try it for a little bit with us for that 10-minute meditation. But sort of breaking down what it is. And it's a mental exercise. It involves relaxation, focus, and awareness. And meditation is to the mind what physical exercise is to the body. It's usually done individually in a still seated position and with eyes closed. So, you know, there's 3 different modes that meditation can be used. So in a concentration mode, you're focusing attention on a single object, internal or external. There's observation, paying attention to whatever is predominant in your experience in the present moment without allowing the attention to get stuck on any particular thing. And there's also awareness mode, which is allowing awareness to remain present, undistracted, and not engaged with other focusing or observing. And, you know, I think that meditation really is something you do have to practice. And again, no one is, you know, not many people are experts at it. It really is something that you have to practice again and again. And you get better and better, as if with many things, if you practice. So never feel like defeated if you try it once and you feel like you weren't able to focus or to fully achieve the relaxation that you were hoping for. Try it again and maybe change the location that you're trying it. Like maybe the first time you were indoors, maybe the next time try it when you're outside, when you hear the birds chirping. Or you can see, you know, the flowers growing, or you see birds flying. Everyone's a little bit different. So just try it, just practice it and see if it helps you at all. So meditation can help with stress. So going back again to stress, and there's an image of a woman who is, you know, again, sitting cross-legged. It's a different woman, but it's also a cartoon, and she is cross-legged with her hands on her knees and eyes closed, and looks like she is meditating somewhere outside by a body of water as well. So talking about how meditation can help stress, it can help you have clarity of mind. It can help quiet your thoughts. Your heart rate can slow, deeper breathing. The adrenal glands produce less cortisol, and you know, you could even have better immune system functioning and better oxygen consumption. So these are a lot of important things. Again, it's not saying it's a cure-all. It's going to work for everybody. But if you notice, for example, your heart rate is going crazy because you're really nervous about something coming up, then maybe you could see maybe meditation can help slow your heart rate down. And it can help quiet those thoughts if you're having negative thoughts, for example, too. So just kind of seeing what works for you. Okay. All right. I'm not sure why that came up in the slide, but anywho, on this slide, I have a quick 2-minute video on the history of meditation. So I'm going to show that now.
A long time ago, a really long time ago, not that long ago. We don't know when exactly, but there lived some of the world's first scientists. These weren't your typical scientists. They began by letting their minds get very still, and in this quiet space, they were able to discover amazing things and uncover incredible secrets about the human body, mind, and consciousness. They discovered things like the way you breathe affects the way you feel, and what you eat affects how you think. They noticed to function well, the mind and memory need rest, and that meditation is the deepest rest of all, giving you incredible amounts of energy. They also discovered that experiences can cloud our vision by getting stuck in our minds. Meditation can clear these out, so we hear, see, and feel more clearly. Meditation is universal, just like you don't have to be Italian to eat pasta. What if everyone could have a more peaceful and clear mind? Could we study less and get better grades? What about run faster, be smarter, better, stronger, wiser? We are all connected. We can create a better world, and it starts with something as simple as closing your eyes, meditating, and feeling a deeper connection with yourself. When you feel good, you treat others around you better, and the cycle continues. Who'd have thought that the work of ancient scientists would have the power to transform our world today? To really open your eyes, sometimes you have to close them.
All right, you guys. So just a little, little tiny clip. We don't want that to go again, but to give you a little more insight about, how long meditation's been going on. And yoga too, actually, it's something that people have practiced for many, many years. And, going back to meditation for beginners, right? Because I think it's safe to say that we should all consider ourselves beginners in meditation, and we don't want anyone to feel like, intimidated because you're not as good as someone else. So we're all starting from the beginning. And basic meditation is a practice that aims to reach mindfulness and bring attention to your breath and back to breath if our attention wanders. So, some ways to do this is, getting in a comfortable spot first and prepare yourself to sit still for a few minutes. Focus on your breath with attention on inhale and exhale. Follow your breath for 2 minutes. Deep inhale, expand your belly. Exhale slowly and feel your belly contract. And this practice, hopefully can help us to pause from our thoughts and focus on what we want to focus on in order to have a healthier relationship with ourselves and with others. So I was able, when I was looking up, for different guided meditations and different websites and apps that you can access for free, I was able to find a good amount. So I wanted to list these here that, of course, YouTube has so many free guided meditation videos you can search for. And also mindful.org is another website that has some of these videos as well for free. So you can always check those out. There also are many free apps. So if you're on your phone and you're an app person and you want, to find your guided meditation there or have daily reminders, I feel like that's really important. Sometimes we have to maybe even have an alarm that tells us to make time for this, because a lot of us have busy lives and we might set it aside or put it kind of on the back burner instead of practicing. So you can even set alarms and alerts on your phone to remind you to do things like maybe like meditate. So different apps that I was able to find were Insight Timer, Smiling Mind, My Life Meditation, UCLA Mindful, and the Healthy Minds program were a few that popped up. Certainly there are probably more, and there are some that do have you pay, but those were some of the free ones that came up. Okay. So I'm just going to exit out of this. Any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. It can be about anything. It could be about maybe something Jordan talked about grounding. Might even be something that I might have mentioned just now about meditation. Feel free to jump in if you do.
Yeah, so I have a question, Billy and Kenny. What do you see yourself using first?
I always say I do meditation like once a week or something to refresh my brain, because I need to refresh my brain once in a while.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
I think that actually really helps.
Okay.
That's so
No
good,
way.
Billy.
And then Kenny, what about you? I saw you just,
Maybe doing like meditation, like maybe like using like a meditation app or something like that, or like and like taking a minute to like breathe and kind of like calm and like
Awesome. Awesome, Kenny. That's wonderful. Is there anything new that you guys might try that you heard that you're like, oh, maybe that'll work for me?
Sometimes when I meditate, I always write notes in my head or take a piece of paper and write notes sometimes. So
Oh,
that way I can remind
wow.
myself to do it.
Oh, that's super cool, Billy.
yeah, I think I just need to do the more practice and do it
Right.
even when I'm not stressed out about anything. I think that would be, if I tweaked that, then it would be more beneficial for me down the road when I am having a hard day or when I am feeling particularly stressed about something.
Totally. Yeah, I need reminders, like I need reminders to do it. I feel like that's pretty common probably in this day and age right now, is to have those reminders to do it, to practice it, and to make the time for it. That's like so key, right? Oh, hi, Billy's cats.
I heard Billy's cat and it made me smile.
I
And I just want to add, so I totally echo what Jordan says. It's all about practice, practice, practice. And I made this mistake when I was like, I'm going to get into meditation. And so I went on to I have Apple Fitness, and I did like, I'm going to do this 20-minute meditation. You can't do that. If you haven't done it and you haven't really experienced, 20 minutes is way long. Like that's a long time.
Mhm.
And so something that I think is really, really cool is my watch in the morning and in the evening, kind of like before I go to bed, and it will, remind me like to practice, mindfulness of some sort, right? And so it's only a minute long, but it's something. And it's just kind of like you said, Jordan, that practice, 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 right?
Mhm.
And and I think that we all can really, really benefit in so many ways. And it's just so nice to hear that it's something obviously that our youth are very aware of and getting more into, and it's just nice to be able to learn more techniques and ideas of how to get there.
Yes.
And Billy and Kenny, I have a wonderful surprise for you. Since y'all showed up to our workshop, we have weighted blankets that we will send you guys in the mail. We have both of your addresses, so you'll be getting a package from RICV of a weighted blanket, and that helps you with anxiety, and it gives you the necessary tools, serotonin, and all that stuff for your brain to use and help you
Oh.
get happier. So
Oh, thanks, Jordan, for that.
Yeah.
Thank
I was
you.
not expecting that, but
Yeah.
thanks.
and we
But,
thank you guys for coming and
Yeah.
being a part and always joining our stuff. So we're so grateful.
Should I receive it by next week or something, or should I?
I hope so. Yeah, I'll send you both an email as soon as they say it's been sent out.
Hmm,
So you can kind of keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
Yay. Congrats.
Yeah, and congrats to you both. Lucky winners. I didn't even have to choose a random number.
Didn't.
You could have chose one between 1 and 2 and done it twice.
There you go. What if one of them won both the blankets though?
Well, then you would have said that you switched their numbers.
Oh, okay.
No, this was really great. I really, really enjoyed it. And Thank you for taking the time to put it all together.
Mhm. Yeah, and then we'll also send out a thank you email to everyone. I'll put both my presentation and Aubrey's presentation and the recording once I upload it to YouTube. So even the people who maybe were busy today, they can still access that video and get all the information. So yeah, so
Yeehaw.
thank you everyone for giving us a little bit of your Wednesday afternoon. And we appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.